Hey folks, Real World Prepper here. Little sanity vacation thrown together at the last minute. Um, Much needed for Mrs. RWP and little RWP. And so here we are. As we traveled to this destination, which was several hundred miles from our home, we were looking at news articles, Mrs. RWP was, while I was driving, including what took place in Seattle, or is taking place in Seattle, the occupation of the 6 or so blocks by community policing citizens. I'm going to say they're Antifa and the like. While meanwhile, the police force and the city council and all the leaders of the city have just stood down and let it take place. And the conversation came up. Mrs. RWP said, well, what would that look like if this took place all around the world, or all around the country anyway? And I said, well, I'll tell you what it looked like. This drive that we're taking, that is through America, with law enforcement that backs things up if you do something wrong, speeding, acting a fool, doing crime, whatever the case may be. Well, you wouldn't have that anymore. You wouldn't have that normal anymore. What you would have is a lawlessness. You would have hundreds of communities and people put together in groups that would likely be blocking roads, and whether or not they allowed you through would remain to be seen. Whether or not they took what you had would remain to be seen. But the fact is, it would be a worst case scenario. In fact, it would be something that we would not be making those travels. We would be sticking in our own communities if that takes place, and protecting them the same way as which I suspect every other would. This stuff is real and this stuff is happening, and you guys see it. We came down here on a whim, and undisclosed location. Some of you may know where I am. I'm not going to mention it specifically, but we did it because, again, the wife and child were kind of going stir crazy, kind of going nuts. We needed a break. They did. I did too, really. But so we're just down here for a couple days, and it's beautiful. It's nice. The world is still free. The country, rather, is still free at the moment, for the most part, for us to travel anyway. There are restrictions, of course. They're doing all the social distancing, and there's masks, and things are different at this hotel. As far as what you can do, and when it comes time to breakfast and things like that, and the restaurants, and everything's just wonky, as you already know. But we had to get down here and do it. Not to mention the fact that being able to do something like this, those times may be few and far between. We may be damn near done with being able to do such things. I don't know. I hope not. But if things keep going the way they're going, where lawlessness rules in some of these communities, and the police and the leadership of these communities and cities and states, counties, are allowing this to take place, this very well may be what we're looking at. It may be going to that. I have a feeling it's just going to get worse before it gets better, if it gets better. You guys know my stand on this stuff. That's why we prepare, why we do the things we do. But at the same time, I'm the real world prepper, and so in the real world, sometimes you just gotta take a chance, man. And for your sanity's sake, you got to do something. That's why we're here. Now, I am here with a pretty decent loadout. It has occurred to me from a video from Guns Coast to Coast, formerly Midwest Prepper, that I was not nearly as prepared on a loadout in my vehicle as I would like to be. But if you'll come along with me, I'll show you the loadout I did come with. I almost forgot. Is that Boog A Loo enough? Guns Coast to Coast, formerly Midwest Prepper, because that's my Boog A Loo wear for this run. I thought it was appropriate. Actually, I have this one too. Boog A Loo wear. Okay, we're gonna make our way up here to the room where we're staying. And I'll show you. Cool little place. Private beach, pool, palm trees, sun. One of my favorite things. A lot of people are river guys, lake guys, mountain guys, and gals, all that kind of stuff. I've always been a big fan of the beach. I like all those other areas, but I'm a big fan of the beach. All right. I'm going to briefly show you my loadout. So, got my 9. I've got 3 extra mags. Of course, while we're down there on the beach, you know, I'm not carrying this. I've also got, move this stuff out of the way here. I've got the Stonemont series there from Steve Smith. I'm going to do a little reading while we're here. Reading up on the books again before the 4th edition comes out, which I'm excited for. So as you can see, I've got the 10.5-inch pistol. Got 4 mags. You know, it is what it is. That's what I've got. We brought some supplies. We brought, I mean, we didn't bring a bunch, but we brought a little, some first aid. We did bring a little bit of food. We brought our own water. You know, we have a plan. We know some people in this area. It's an area we come to regularly, and we know some people in this area, so we wouldn't be entirely alone should things pop off. The idea is, though, we'd want to get home. You know, it is what it is. So, just wanted to share that with you. The world is entering a chaotic time, as we all know. More chaotic than what we're used to, than what we've been seeing typically. But you've got to be prepared, and you've got to live your life. I mean, we've got regular things we've got to do. That's why we still go shopping at the store, even though they tell us all the rules we have to follow. That's why some of us are still taking trips, things like that. I know that, speaking of Guns Coast to Coast, formerly Midwest Prepper, who, by the way, if you're watching, I'm going to show the loadout on my everyday vehicle back home, which is I'm working on. It's going to be a whole lot different than this little temporary travel loadout that I just showed you. But you inspired me there, buddy. So at any rate, I know, like in his case, he travels for work. A lot of us do. So there's a lot of things that have to keep going on and will keep going on until we figure out how this new world is going to land. You know, it's like taking a plate of food, right? Tossing it in the air, and you're waiting to see where the mess lands and how much of a mess it makes. And that's kind of where we are right now. The food is airborne. The plate has been tossed. The food is airborne. We're waiting all to land to see where the mess falls. So I just want to share this with you. I practice what I preach. Again, I practice what I preach as far as preparedness, as far as protection, you know. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me, Real World Prepper. We'll see you next time.